Hello! You're welcome. It's Wednesday at 5 o'clock, which means it is time for Let's Talk Personal. I have missed you all so much. I hope you didn't mind my little 2-week hiatus while I went home and visited the family. Unfortunately, the studio would not come with me, so you had to watch some reruns for 2 weeks, so I appreciate you accommodating me while on vacation. Well, as you know, I am your host, Frances Reimers. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to join the conversation for Let's Talk Personal, you can do so on Instagram at Let's Talk Personal or on Twitter at LTP Brand Radio. If you'd like to talk personally to me, and I appreciate all of the DMs and emails and calls and messages that you leave, you can do so on Instagram at Firestarter CEO and on Twitter at Your Firestarter. So when I came back from the long vacay, I wanted to give you something super exciting to come back to, because certainly you're not tuning in for just me. So I wanted to have a super great show. And so joining me tonight is Catherine Cassidy, and she is a leadership stylist expert. And we are going to get into everything that means. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I am super caffeinated, so I apologize in advance. I've been around the Beltway today. So leadership style expert. A lot of people are like, so is it speaking? Is it what, is it the type of outfits I wear? What is it? Tell us, let me back up for 1 second and let's talk about just your evolution within the fashion industry, because that's an interesting story in of itself. So share.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it is definitely an evolution, and that's kind of how I speak to it. I speak to it as your evolution of style, the evolution of your career, and leadership style power is the sum of that evolution, and it comes to it starts way back in the day, when I had to move from private school to public school.
Okay.
And what do you wear when you want to, make friends? And, that's
Umbros. If you were in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Oh my gosh,
Umbros.
Yes. I was just cleaning out family memorabilia, and I was like, look at that Umbro outfit. Yeah. So cute. Plus,
you have your Adidas
stripes.
Yeah, you have the Adidas jacket, and you have your Umbros. And everyone knew if you had fake Umbros.
Yeah.
Everyone always knew if they weren't the real Umbros.
I don't know. I lived in a town where I feel like people always had the real Umbro. I don't know.
Telling you, in Cheyenne, Wyoming, people knew the difference. But continue, please.
Yeah. So in any case, it really, I went to undergraduate for business. I love business. And senior year of college, I realized that there was this job called being a merchandiser, which is merging your love of business with your love of clothes.
Yes.
And impacting what goes into the stores. Right. So 3 years as a merchandiser at BCBG led me to realize that there's really a lot of disconnect in the fashion industry.
You think?
Yeah. I spent a while actually looking for a different job at a different company, and I came to the conclusion there wasn't a better opportunity.
Right.
So I just decided to do my thing, and that's how You Styled was born.
And so I'm very interested, backing up for 1 second, back to being a merchandiser at BCBG. As someone who occasionally shops there, and I often walk in the store and go, none of these clothes you can't wear any of this anywhere in public. I was like,
I have opinions.
Who wears this to work? All of my BCBG clothes are for going to the bars or going to things. But there are people that wear these things to work. As a merchandiser, did you ever sit there and go, none of this is practical? None of these clothes are practical.
100%.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I was wondering if I'm the only person who looks at those clothes going, none of this is practical.
Yes.
No one can wear these.
It's changed a lot in the last 9 years, where it's gotten even further to that more clubby.
Yes.
And that's part of my frustration with the fashion industry anyways, is that there's not really much out there that's fun and appropriate for professional women.
Correct.
So it becomes really hard to have a personal style for a woman, especially as she rises up as a leader. And then you move between price points.
Yes.
You end up to find the really cool clothes. They're a lot more expensive.
Right.
So you need to be, it's just,
it's frustrating.
That's where You Styled came to be. Was
perfect.
If it's hard for me, as someone in the fashion industry, who has easy access to clothes at a significant discount, to build a wardrobe for work, what is it like for professional women who don't have the knowledge, who haven't figured out how to dress their body type, who don't have the significant discount for quality clothes, and
who have body challenges, they're tall, maybe they're heavy, they're short torsoed, whatever the case may be, makes it even more difficult.
And we all have, every woman has something
a
they need to figure out, and most people would be like, what are you talking about? But we know it.
We know.
Intimately.
Every woman knows. And every woman knows exactly her thing.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't know too many. I know a few, but they're cosmetically altered. A few women that they can just take something off the rack and away they go without any sort of altering or doing something to it.
Right.
And why just because of my FYI, why do you think the fashion industry makes it so difficult for women to be able to take something off the rack and wear it? Why do they make it hard on us when we're the consumer?
Well, there's two pieces to that puzzle. And the first one is that it depends on the fit model. So at BCBG, we had the fit model for sportswear, which is what I merchandised, was pretty skinny up and down, but she had curves.
Right.
So it was a little bit of an in-between. Some things would work, other things wouldn't if you had curves.
Right.
95% of women have curves.
Yeah.
Like the pear body type is the most common body type.
In the
and
world.
I hate typing people. Like that's my biggest pet peeve when it comes to anything style related.
Right.
But most women have curves somewhere on their body.
Yeah. You would hope.
I mean,
you would hope.
There are some of the straight up and down.
Right.
And, the hourglass is actually like what you would consider the ideal, but not many women actually
have an
are
hourglass. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the fit model, one. And
Right.
then two, they're trying to meet a very broad range of body needs.
Right.
So they really end up making a lot of concessions for that.
Right.
So that's where it's knowing what to tailor, how to tailor, if it's worth tailoring.
Right. That's a big one.
And a lot of things really kind of aren't, especially for the quality,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
So it requires then knowing how to dress your body and then paying attention to fit. And so it's like, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And women,
it's very overwhelming.
We expect of ourselves that we would know all of this.
Right.
Like this is innately, we're born with this knowledge.
And definitely not.
And no, it's too much. So.
And oddly enough, I mean, I can't speak for everybody's mothers, but I don't think this is information that a lot of moms pass down. I think that we just kind of forget about that knowledge and we just kind of pass by it. And I don't think women really talk about it, share it, pass it down. And so it's almost like every new generation has to figure it out all over again.
Right. Well, and also we've only been in the workplace for the last how many years? Not my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So
my mom definitely wasn't, but I mean, like 50 years, 60 years at the most, since World War II, or that's a lot more than 60 years. Yeah. Yes, I know. I have math.
I wasn't going to try to do the math in my head right there.
It's longer than 60 years.
I have no concept of time.
And so we're like dogs. We have no concept of time.
True.
But you're right. I mean, the women's workday wear has not been in existence as long as women's wear.
Exactly.
And so we have not had to figure this out for long periods of time.
Right.
And so, yes, this is an evolution. This is a kind of a historical evolution that is still being figured out. What is appropriate in the workplace?
Right.
I mean, what was it just a couple of weeks ago that the Senate was like, we're banning no sleeves.
Well, I think that was in the summer, but no concept of time as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I was like, really? It's 2017 and we're banning no sleeves?
Right.
What is it? What is this?
Well, this is actually a lot of where leadership style power comes from all of the things.
Right.
Because dressing as a professional woman originally was about being a man and dressing like a man.
Terrible.
Right. Like you wanted to fit
shoulder
in.
pads.
You did not want to stand out. And that's been a running theme for up until really very recently that we wanted to fit in and be one of the guys or whatever, especially if we were rising up as leaders.
Yes.
So it's really within the last few years even that we're able to find our own style, and workplaces are not enforcing that you have to wear pantyhose or the sleeves issue. And that unfortunately really comes from making men comfortable. Right. Because they didn't know this way of interacting with women. And it's obviously coming to a head right now. Yeah, well, I think we're going to see a lot of tides turning on that front. Which is great. And even the guys that are asking, how can I even hug a woman? Can I and it's like, well, are you going to hug a coworker, period? How about you start there? Right. Does it matter if it's a guy or a gal? Right. Exactly. So there's that piece of just like, it's changing for the better. And we're just in this evolution. So I think mostly it's like, let's just take it back a step and like not put all that pressure on ourselves, because we do like to do that.
Right. I mean, it is just clothes.
Yeah.
It is just clothes. I mean, thinking back to, like, if you remember Working Girl with Melanie Griffith and the terrible outfits that she wore and Sigourney Weaver wore in that movie, just that terrible red pantsuit that Sigourney Weaver wore with the huge shoulder pads and like double-breasted. And so not flattering. But they had to dress like that. That was very Wall Street, because if you wanted to play with the boys, you had to dress like the boys, which made absolutely no sense in the world. And so it is nice to see that fashion is trying to evolve, not only to make us look more like women, but also to be more flattering to body type.
Yeah.
And so back to the root of your comment a little earlier, why you started your company.
Yes.
So talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, so You Styled was born of, if it's hard for me, and I actually do have expertise in this, what is it like for women who do not have this?
Right.
So it started with, how do I make it easier for women to get out the door? How can I help them find their style, know how to dress their body type? Certainly was an evolution. I was 25 when I started my business. There was so much I did not know.
Right.
And then it evolved with 4 years later launching Boutique Box, which was about giving them an opportunity to outsource their shopping, because then I found women were not investing in the support for the shopping piece of it because it's expensive.
Yes.
And then they were still making mistakes and buying things on sale just because they were on sale. And
and it just stays in their closet.
Different pieces.
Right.
And then eventually it really came to be that all of my clients were professional women.
Right.
Very few of them were husbands buying gifts for their wives.
Right.
I mean, I love being able to empower anybody to find their style.
Sure.
But it was this conversation around, okay, I just got promoted. How do I dress to that level? But also I need to engage my client or my employees that are below me and be approachable. Or I have an outward facing role as well as an inward facing role. And they're two very different audiences. How do I navigate that? Or I just started a business. What is my personal brand? Like, how do I show up and be myself? And now you have, like, you want to feel powerful when you're working at home in your yoga pants, but you also
I feel powerful even though I haven't showered for like 6 days on end. I mean, but it's all, these are all, this is all very valid, and these are all conversations that I've had with women and men.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
The what do they say? The suit makes the man, or the outfit makes the person. And so when you work with your clients, talk with me a little bit about, you know, how you onboard them and what's kind of what are the conversations that you're having with them?
Absolutely. Well, and I actually just am in the process of shifting to focusing on training people. So that's where leadership style power comes from, as far as, okay, how can I take this to organizations to empower men and women? Because what I did find, and this is where what leadership style power is about, is that it ultimately comes down to confidence.
Right, absolutely.
Feeling totally confident as you're putting yourself out there, as you're going to an important pitch meeting, as you're going into a job interview, and it's about making sure that you're connecting with whomever you're trying to reach.
Right.
And so you need to dress for them, but also, really more importantly, dress for yourself.
Yes.
So I always start with that sort of internal deep dive of like, what are your goals?
What are you trying to do?
Why are they your goals? Like, and then also, why have you not achieved them yet? Like, what are you holding yourself back in any way?
Sure.
What do you need to kind of put yourself forward that way?
Right.
And then we deep dive into, you know, okay, what does this mean for you? Like, what does this look like for you? Who are your style icons? For, you know, men, women, whatever. This is all. It's
what is the culture that you work in? You know, you don't want to wear a leather jacket if you're, you work at a law firm, like those kinds of things. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So just doing that, like, essentially breaking it down so you can really look at it and be like, oh, okay, I get it. This is what I need.
Right.
And then ultimately the final step is, after you've really defined how you want to show up, what that looks like.
Right.
Okay, now you need to evolve your wardrobe. What's your action plan for doing that?
Right.
What are the pieces you need? What do you need first? What is your budget?
Right.
How do you break that budget up?
Right.
What's quality?
Right, exactly.
So,
and that's an interesting, that's an interesting point when you say what is quality, because quality ranges for people.
Right.
I mean, there's people that think that Forever 21 is quality.
Yes.
It is not, but they do. And so how do you talk to a client? You know, it's kind of like somebody purchasing a diamond, and they think that one version of a diamond is really the top of the line, but it's really over here.
Right.
How do you have that conversation with somebody that's like, my budget and my idea of quality is here, and you're like, no, you really need to be over here. So how do you have that conversation?
There are two ways that I approach it, sort of concurrently. And number one is just kind of walking them through and explaining to them the reasoning behind my, I mean, it's cute, I get the style or whatever, but, and helping them to see that maybe the fit is a little bit off, the fabric is a little bit different, and maybe something's going on with the quality of the colors now. And then when I would bring them pieces, that would be where I would also continue the education around, okay, so this is worth this because, and they would actually then be able to see and feel the difference in fabric. So I've had clients, I want my clients to not rely on me. So they would go out shopping afterwards, and then they'd be like, oh, I went to Ann Taylor and I couldn't buy anything.
I can't. Me and Ann Taylor are not friends at all. And you can't buy anything there.
Right. Like, you can find cute pieces. You can figure it out, make it work. It's a great, I mean, I love it for especially those that are just getting out of work, out of school, or in some sort of transition. And just pieces to fill the gaps until you find the pieces you really love. Don't ever pay full price there.
Never. But, always take a coupon. That place is so overpriced. But yes, there's staple pieces you can have there, for sure.
And that's part of the quality piece of it, too. It's kind of hard to educate and communicate, but there is a big problem right now in the fashion industry with the consistent marking down. And that was when I left BCBG in 2008. And that was part of actually the catalyst of things that I was like, this doesn't make sense as a business model.
Like, this doesn't work.
Our sell-through.
These dollars and cents are not adding up here.
And so the product that you're seeing at those stores is actually produced for the price point that they will sell at on sale.
I see. So
that's why with certain designers, I'm like, do not ever pay full price. I'm going to direct you to find these pieces here, and this is what's worth there. Here is where it's worth paying full price, especially with the direct-to-consumer movement. Like, that's, I've been on board with that since the beginning, and that's a lot of what launched Boutique Box. Because you're not getting the double markup. You're getting just better quality for the price point. And those are then pieces that when I talk about return on wear is something that I like to say. If you have it for 10 years and you wear it even just once a month and it's $400, then you're getting a pretty good return on wear. And you haven't had to buy it again. With the time that it would take to replace it. Not to mention the extra money, even if it was $100 versus $400, that's still like 2 years versus 10. How many wears versus, So I really try to help people figure that out. And since most of my clients are business minded, they're like, okay, I get it. Like, I get it. My time is valuable. My money could be put to other things.
But how do you, move somebody away from, the cute, cheap piece at Old Navy that only costs you $9.99, and it's so adorable hanging up in the store, and like my body type. If there's anything that loses shape very easily, any fabric that loses shape very easily, it's a no-go. I have the thing on for 15 minutes and it looks like I'm wearing a gunny sack. But I know women who, they can buy stuff from Old Navy and they look fantastic, but they're throwing it away like a month later. And it's really not economical at the end of the day. They're saving money at that point in time, but really they're spending money in the long run on all of their clothes rather than buying something at like a Banana Republic and possibly getting it tailored so that it fits appropriately and it stays a lot longer. Is that a challenge that you have with clients? They're like, why can't I have the $9.99 Old Navy pants?
It's amazing how quickly they come to see the light. After they're
investing in you,
because
they're ready to make that move.
And so typically, when going through a closet, like I might keep some of those pieces originally for them and explain to them, this is something that we're going to want to replace, because it's cute, it's fine, it'll get you out the door.
Right.
But, you know, again, it's just not the best piece, especially for where you're going in your career and in your life.
Right.
And so then we bring them, they get new clothes, they see the difference, they feel the difference.
Right. Yes.
And then it becomes really easy for them to get rid of the pieces that are not the best, that quality. And it's kind of fun because, again, they're the ones. I'm not doing it anymore. They continue to clear it out.
They're purging on their own.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I'm like, yes, you do it.
And so when you go into somebody's closet and you clean it out, where does it go? Does it go to Goodwill? Do you consign it? Like, what do you have people do?
I typically give them insight into what is worth doing with each piece.
Yes.
I'm a big proponent of, you know, finding a new home for something that you've loved if it's still in good condition and it's just not time for it's not yours anymore.
Right.
You've loved
ready
it.
to be sunsetted.
You've loved it. Let it go. It's okay.
Yes.
You know, so to address for success or something like that, or an organization. I'm not a big fan of Goodwill, to be honest, just because it doesn't go directly to the people that need it.
Nope.
It fundraises for the organization, which is good, but...
And if it doesn't get used, it gets shipped off to China. So, just FYI, people.
That piece I actually didn't know.
That's what happens to it. I agree with you in the finding a new home. For the viewing public out there, if you don't know, for many, many years, I ran an event called the Greater Washington Clothing Swap.
Okay.
And because I, like you, feel the same way. Like, I have stuff in my closet all the time that it's not ready to be sunsetted. It's just not good for me anymore. Like, I wore it once and it looked good in that one picture, but my body has since changed as I've aged.
Exactly.
And now it doesn't look as hot. So, but it's still in perfect condition.
Right.
And I don't want to get rid of it. And so for years, I did the Greater Washington Clothing Swap, and people still like the page on Facebook. I'm like, I haven't done an event in like 2 years.
Yeah.
I should do another event. This reminds me that I need to get that back online. But because we women spend so much money on clothes, so much, whether it's a good piece, not a good piece, whatever, we spend a ton, and we spend a ton to dry clean clothes and everything else. I created the swap because I'm like, you don't throw it away.
Right.
Like,
Finding a new
this
home.
person over
Absolutely.
here can wear that dress. I have dresses in my closet because they're just classic cut. They're just little black dresses. Clean,
absolutely.
easy to put a jacket on it, put a necklace with it, whatever, that I got at swaps like 10 years ago that I still have. But they're classic.
Right.
No need to get rid of it. If you can still fit in it, by all means wear it.
Yeah, especially if you are wearing it.
Yes.
So, and you find that, and there may be pieces too that you hold on to just because you know that might come up and it's a good piece to have and just in case. But yeah, I mean, there's thread up.
How do you feel about thread up? How do you feel about it?
I don't buy stuff from there, but I tell my clients to give there. Yeah.
I give to them, and I'm in debate whether if I'm getting my money's worth as somebody who is donating. I would love to hear from other people out there. If you're using ThreadUp, if you think that you are getting your dollar's worth when you send things away. Like, I sent them a brand new Michael Kors jacket, and they were like, oh, $19. I'm like, $19? I can write that off on my taxes if I'd given that to Goodwill for more. Are you kidding me? Right. So it's stuff like that kind of irks.
Yes.
And so I'm interested about that.
And I think that just depends on your motives. Like,
yes.
I think I have some clients that love it. I tried it recently, and it still hasn't made it to the queue for me to assess if I'm, going to get my value worth.
It takes forever.
But I hear you, though, because I'm like, oh, these are good pieces. Like, someone's going to want this. It's just, there's that piece of, because I'm so particular in what I like.
Yes.
Obviously, this is why I do what I do.
Right.
This is how I've literally been this way since, like, birth. My mom has told me.
Right.
So there is a genetic factor to it.
Understand.
But so it's like, I don't do it for myself with the clothing swap. Right. Because I'm so particular. But I have found great pieces.
Right.
And I think one of the challenges with that is that it's an overwhelm. And that's... But if you know what you're looking for, which kind of goes back to the wardrobe action plan, then you can keep an eye out for those pieces that would fit that need. And then same as if you're shopping, whether it's on sale or full price, you can be like, yes, this is something that is great for me. It's a good fit. It's good quality. It's my style. Right. And it adds value to my wardrobe. So.
And dressing, we've touched on this a couple of times, dressing for body type is key. I don't care if you're 89 pounds or 500 pounds. 500 pounds. But if you understand your body type and you understand what works, what fabrics, what cuts, whatever,
Absolutely.
you can look fantastic.
Right.
And so talk to me a little bit about how you work with people to better understand their body type and how, you know, nobody knows what this number is on that tag. It's better that it looks good on you than what size it is.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about how you get your clients to get their head wrapped around that, about their body type, about that, and so that they're dressing better overall.
I will say most of my women clients, I mean, even some of the men, I have them go down a size or two.
Right.
And I do definitely communicate that the size on the tag means nothing, especially with the like overabundance of oversized clothes these days. Like all the flowy tops and dresses and whatever. Sweaters. Like I do love them for being comfortable. Right. But I go down like 2 sizes. Like I am not an extra small.
Right.
No.
I usually wear a small or a medium because I'm like, I'm drowning in this. Yeah.
Yes. So, and then you're like, then for women that are really petite,
right?
Where do they go? What do they do?
They have to belt it, like cinch it up.
Exactly.
I mean, it's insane.
So yeah, it's just a matter, and that again, it kind of goes to the education piece around like, here's how you can make it work for clients that are really petite. Like there are not a lot of petite options out there.
No, there is not.
So I tell them to look for jackets that are shorter or short. You know, they're a crop jacket or a short-waisted jacket.
Right.
Ends up hitting them in the right place.
Right. Correct.
And then you might have to hem the sleeves, but that's an easy fix, especially if there are no buttons. And even if there are buttons,
they
just
can
move
fix
the buttons.
It. Yeah.
Like,
that's easy.
You know, just little things like that, or plus size clients. I'll even be like, just go to Eileen Fisher, and get their regular large or extra large because it's so oversized.
It's so oversized.
And so again, it's a matter of there are 3 pieces that I talk to is that like you have to pay attention to this when you're looking at fit. It's fit, obviously. So tailored, close-ish to the body. It doesn't have to be tight.
Yeah, don't
just to make sure that you're just to make sure that you're showing your shape. No bunching or bulging.
Right.
Because you don't want to fidget.
Right.
Mind your waist. So whether the jacket comes in at the waist and accentuates it.
Right.
Which is actually a great trick for just adding structure over something that is too big or flowy.
Yes.
Jackets are really hard to find the right fit.
They are.
So don't feel bad about it. Just try on a lot of jackets.
Yes.
And those are really expensive to alter. So
yes, they are.
Just try on a lot of jackets.
Yeah.
And then finally proportions. So making sure if you're wearing any volume anywhere, you're keeping it slim.
Right.
Where you're not. So volume on top, slim on bottom, volume on bottom, slim on top. Right. Very simple. So.
And for men, I mean, you know, we've been talking a lot about women's fashion, but there are guys out there who probably,
don't worry, guys.
Probably
we haven't
need
forgot about you.
More help than anyone.
Just a little more challenging for women.
One of my favorite things, my friend Chris in college, he invited me to go shopping with him one day, and I was like, oh, okay. And we went to the mall. And we walked in, it was like Macy's or Dillard's or something, and he was like, I'll just get that. And whatever the mannequin was wearing, he would get exactly that. And I was like, do you like that? And he was like, well, I know that it matches because it's on the mannequin, so I'm just going to buy that. Yes. And I was like, oh, that's adorable. Like, you're literally just dressing in whatever they put on the mannequin. And legitimately, his entire wardrobe was nothing but whatever Macy's or whoever was putting on the mannequin. So what are some of the biggest challenges besides just going shopping in general? What are the biggest challenges with some of your male clients that you see?
I think it's kind of ironic because women have the challenge of an overabundance of options and how do you dress your body, and men have the opposite where there's really not that much of a way to be creative with how you show up.
No.
We're getting head nods.
Yeah, so yeah. They really don't. I mean, guys really have very little, you know, just look at the tuxedo. Yeah, black shoes.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, but see, you've got personality with your socks. That's one of the ways you can do it.
The sock industry has really like blown up. It really has. There you go.
Clever. Yeah, exactly.
Socks.
I did notice that.
Good for you. Good for you. But they really don't. Guys really have it's blue, it's black, it's gray, it's brown.
Yes.
And I mean, now that camouflage has now become a super huge thing, everything for dudes is camouflage.
Right.
From sweaters to pants to everything. But there really is not. You know, they just don't have a lot going on there. So how especially for a guy that has a challenging body type, where do you steer him?
Absolutely. Well, it still starts with like, who are you and how do you want to show up?
Right.
For men or for women.
Right.
And I do think it's not so much about the suit. It's about how you wear the suit and how you feel in the suit.
Yes.
So that's where I'm like, okay, Ann Taylor or Men's Warehouse, whatever, it gets you out the door. It really matters that it fits your body and you feel good.
Right.
There is an advantage that men have in terms of getting custom suits made, and that you can always default to a suit or a, sports coat or something like that if that fits your personal style.
Right.
I think it just comes back to this thing of like, okay, let's play with it a little bit. Like, maybe it's playing with color then, paying attention to the details of the fabric that you choose.
Right.
The mannequins can definitely be a good guiding point.
They're a good guide, yeah.
I mean, I do. There's like, this was like so many years ago, but I still I see it vividly in my mind. I was in a Bloomingdale's and they had this. It wasn't cobalt blue, but like it was a really bright royal blue suit for a guy, and I was like, yes, like. Yes. Kudos to the guy that pulls that off, because that is like, you are so confident in yourself.
Right.
If you're going to wear that suit.
Yes.
Because you're certainly going to stand out. And that speaks a lot to who you are.
Yes.
Like because at the same time, it's like you're confident, but you're maybe not super cocky.
Right.
Like,
right.
Again, it depends on how you wear it and your body language and all the other things.
Exactly. I think a wonderful thing for men's fashion is the evolution of athletes and them exploring their fashion.
Oh my gosh, yes. Justin Timberlake.
Right. Yeah, people like Justin Timberlake, people like Ryan Gosling and other influential male figures, even some politicians who are really exploring their personal style. And I think it's, they're mixing and matching patterns. They're wearing cobalt blue suits. They're wearing different types of sweaters, different types of things. I mean, men's fashion as a whole is rather boring, but men are really getting creative. I was at a holiday party last night, and this guy was wearing a striped shirt with like this Argyle tie and this jacket, and he had a pocket square in it. I mean, it was never anything in a million years that I would have put together, but he looked fantastic. Right. And I mean, he absolutely stood out from everyone else who was in boring black or brown or Christmas colors at this holiday party. And I told him, I was like, I love it. You look fantastic. Like, this is great, because not a lot of guys will explore. Or they do the god-awful thing of, sports jackets with shorts and boat shoes, which is the absolute.
No. I grew up in the Midwest, but no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it happens.
I'm still preppy myself, but no.
It's very prevalent down in Florida.
Yeah.
But you'll see guys in like a sports jacket and like pink or green or something shorts and the boat shoes. And I'm like, no, not on any level is that a good. Yeah. That's not good. You don't look good. Or like you see it a lot at golf, at country clubs for golf. I'm like, no, I think you think you're business on the top and party on the bottom. Like it doesn't work. So we've been talking a lot about your clients and how you get them to their personal style. I wanted to go back to you a little bit and talk about your personal brand. As you've made your evolution through the fashion industry and building your business and that sort of thing. What kind of personal brand have you been wanting to carve out for yourself?
Absolutely. That, such a great question.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's what I do. That's what I'm here for, folks.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, so much of it for me has always been about style is intimidating.
It is.
So how can I make this approachable and how they can understand that I'm not here to judge them. I'm here to help them.
Right. Because it can get judgy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I have so many thoughts on styling sometimes. Where, like, people are led down the path of the stylist style versus their personal style.
Right.
Or just because they want to be trendy, they look this way. And it's like, you can so tell when someone doesn't, they're just doing the trendy thing. They're trying to fit in, those sorts of things. So it's always been very much about trying to be as authentic as possible and trying to figure out different ways to connect with people. Because I know that I can be, for some reason, intimidating.
Right.
And because I've been, for some reason, considered confident in myself forever. And I realized that that's truly
Lady, you're preaching to the choir here, so.
Well, what I will say, though, is that when I was a lot younger, I would be like, really? Thank you, I guess. I don't. Yeah. But it was always
now
because.
I'm like,
right.
Fuck yeah, I'm confident.
Exactly.
Like, you should be intimidated by me. I'm probably smarter than you.
Well, exactly.
But this comes across in fashion with women a lot.
Right.
Because if you have we are strong, dominant women, and if your fashion is dominant as well, it becomes like this impenetrable force.
Right.
So how have you worked with that in your brand?
So there's two pieces. First, I've tried to do a lot more. The writing and the video is huge. Yeah. To be able to see people, have people like hear me and truly connect with what I'm saying and how it's coming across in the visual medium with the tone of my voice. And I don't really script things because I really want it to be authentic. So sometimes I totally flub things, fillers, whatever.
I make mistakes in all my videos. Yeah.
But
yeah, all the time.
And my driver's ed coach used to yell at us "moo" to like undo the
Okay.
So it's stuck in my head. But in any case.
Okay.
And the other piece of it is just owning it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is who I am. It weeds out the people that are not interested.
Yes.
The people that I've been able to help it's been some of the most incredible transformations because a lot of these women and men. Mostly women, though, have been women who have just never even felt like they deserved to even show up. Yeah. And so I think by really focusing on trying to cultivate the fact that I care, that has been able to come across in the different ways. And really the video has been the biggest piece of that. And meeting people in person. Yeah. So part of how I ended up in Washington, D.C., actually, since I lived in L.A. for 15 years, was, I mean, I loved it while I was there.
Hate LA.
But, I mean, I went to undergrad at USC, so it was like, you know, it was really fun to be in LA in my 20s, and it was a great place. It was perfect where I needed to start my business, but I ended up in D.C. because I realized that I was building my business when I would meet people. Right. And especially outside of LA, actually a lot more easily. So I was like, all right, let's put my stuff in storage and go to all these different cities where people think I need to come, or I have friends, and connect with people, or do a workshop. And that's always really powerful for me to be able to get people to engage. Yes. And so that's a big part of why I'm focusing on leadership style power now and speaking, because what I love the most is giving you the tools to do it for yourself, empowering you to start and just speaking on the topic and start thinking differently about it. Yes. Just a little bit, like even one tweak about, you know, minding your waist. Right. Can have a really big impact.
Well, a lot of women don't know how to mind their waist. They don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Or where it is.
Or where it is. Or, you know, are they making themselves look you know, weird, or whatever the case may be. And so when you're thinking about your own brand and you're building out your brand on social media, what has that evolution been like for you?
Oh my gosh. A lot of it has been owning the fact that I am the brand. Right. It was styled for a very specific reason. Right. I did not want to be the brand, and not because I was uncomfortable being in front of it, but I really had wanted it to grow beyond me. Right. And ultimately, that just was not happening. Everyone was so attached to me. Yes. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just own it. And this is how where I want to focus anyways. Yep. And now, funny enough, it's an interesting transition to focus on me, because I'm focusing on leadership style power and speaking. Right. People still see me as the stylist. Right. So I'm like, oh, that's an interesting branding conundrum. Right. Right. So now, even though I have been speaking to leadership and style and how you show up as a leader throughout, it's really focusing on, okay, what are my key messages? Right. And how do I rotate through them and get them out there? And how, like, what is the ratio of leadership to style to power? Right. To women, to men, to parity, to, you know, all those different balances, and trying to make it relevant too, and not just like preachy, but really like engage and maybe I am sharing a story, but it's about, you know, look, I'm a stylist, and sometimes it's hard for me too. Right. And I just said I'm a stylist. I'm not a stylist, guys. I speak about leadership and style and power.
You are a stylist. I don't think, I think you went through something that I think every business owner or every figure goes through is, I made a very defined decision when I launched Firestarter that I am Firestarter. Yes, it's a company, right. But I am Firestarter, and that is a decision that you truly have to make when you launch your company. Are you the company, or are you your own separate entity? And what I tell a lot of people is, in today's world, if you're launching a business, you are the business.
Right.
So you need to own it, and you need to live the brand. And I was at a conference this past weekend, and I was on a panel, and somebody asked about something along these lines, and I was like, I am my brand. When people look at my social media, when they look at my videos, when they go to my website, the first thing they see is me.
Right.
You're in the style industry. I'm in the branding industry. We have to be our product.
Right. Absolutely.
You probably do this as well, as people always ask me for a case study. And I'm like, look at my shit. Like, that's your case study. Right. I am my product.
Right.
And the same for you. It's like, go look at my pictures. Like, go look at my presentations or whatever. You are your product.
Exactly.
If we sold widgets or whatever the case may be, it would be a different story. But we're a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's very much what we do is a lifestyle. And I think more and more businesses are going to evolve to that. But you being like, well, I'm not the brand. So don't think I'm sitting here up in my head being like, oh, honey, you're in for a rude awakening.
Well, it did. It took a lot of people for a long time.
A lot of talking, right? You did an intervention.
Right. Before I really owned it, I'm very fortunate that I have some very brilliant marketing people in my life who gave me a lot of tough love. And I sometimes rebuffed it quite harshly, perhaps. But it really was like, okay, looking at, you have metrics in front of you if you're using social media.
Yeah.
And even if it's as simple as looking at how many likes you have on an Instagram post or a Facebook post.
Yep.
And invariably the ones that were of me would be way higher than my spiel about leadership.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm engaging people and inspiring them. What is the content that will?
Right.
And this is part of this, like you say, it is me, and it is me continuing to show up. That is the brand that thus inspires them to continue to show up, or at least take that next step.
Right. So. It always hurts my heart a little bit, especially on my Instagram account, where I post a picture of like just me, and it gets hundreds of likes, and then I post something that's like real educational content that someone can use, and it like gets like half the likes. I'm like,
yes.
Guys, come on. I know. But, as I tell myself and I tell clients, like, look, don't slit your wrists over it. Like, you're using one part of your brand to educate or to get people to the other part of your brand. Absolutely. And unfortunately, we live in a aesthetic world, and if people are liking a picture because they like your skirt or they like whatever, it keeps them engaged for the educational content that you're bringing along. And believe it or not, I actually found out the other night that, I was like, nobody is reading my educational content. I'm like churning out like a blog a week with real like tangible things that people can do, and nobody is reading it. And I got to this conference this past weekend, and like a couple of people are reciting back to me my own content, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe people are reading it. Like, clearly it's resonating somehow. So I tell people not to get too sad when the picture of them in a cocktail dress is getting a bunch of likes, but their video post is, or people are like, wah, wah, wah. People are paying attention.
And I think that's accurate. And it's also knowing where your people are coming from and what they're coming for.
Yes.
Even previously when I was working to build my business with personal clients, my personal clients were not coming from Instagram. They were coming from referrals and meeting them in person and having a conversation.
Yes.
And I actually was just thinking about that today after a conversation with a friend, where especially in entrepreneur land and trying to sell the online products and all of those things, people get so confused about marketing and sales.
Yes.
And you can market the heck out of anything, but you got to sell it.
You have to sell it.
And
marketing is not sales. Sales is not marketing, people.
Exactly.
For the millionth time, they're not the same thing.
And so, and my undergrad focus was entrepreneurship.
Right.
And I remember going back to my notes for my intro to entrepreneurship class.
That's a degree?
Well, at USC, you focus your major.
I
so
see.
you take 4 classes within a focus. So I took 2 classes in entrepreneurship, and the other 2 were in operations. Because I was like, if you have a business, you need to
know
run it.
how to operate it. Yes.
Foresight, I guess. But if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. That was the note. And this was about 3 years into business when I was still like spinning my wheels with marketing stuff. And I was like...
I know.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And then from then on, though, I was like, that's 100. Why did it? But there's a lot of other factors that go into that.
Yes.
And so from then on, I focus on sales and how do I have these conversations and what works and what are the metrics. And so to the point being, marketing and social media are visibility.
Yes.
They're your brand. People meet you, then they go to your social media. Then that reinforces.
Or they go to your social media and then they meet you.
Right.
We're now living in a world where those are interchangeable.
Yes.
Right.
And that's a huge part of how I got connected so quickly here in DC was actually social media and reaching out, seeing people and researching the DC hashtag and seeing people that were being real on social media and being like, I want to be friends with you, so I will.
Right.
I mean, that's how we connected, actually.
So that's exactly how it works.
It was like I saw you through someone else's post, and I was like, I like what she's got going on, and so,
Sometimes I'm good. This evolution of how you got here and how we got to know each other, and you're not the first guest who has sat in that chair who we came to know each other in that exact same way.
Right.
Social media is word of mouth 2.0.
Right.
Believe me, I still get tons of people to my doorstep through good old fashioned referrals, which
everything.
I love those, appreciate it.
Yes.
But social media is referral 2.0. Word of mouth 2.0, and those who are not learning how to leverage that, and this is something I said at the conference I was at over the weekend, like if you're not leveraging social media to connect and network and find out what your competitors are doing, what people you wish you were like are doing, then you're basically leaving money on the table, in my opinion. Because look at how this is connecting us now. Like you're not from here, I'm not from here, but now we're both here and having thriving businesses.
Right.
But that's social media, right? And a lot of people neglect that. They think social media is this thing out here that it's a fun tool. No, it's a business tool.
Yeah, it is a tool.
It's a business tool.
Oh my gosh. And I remember when Facebook first launched because I was still in college. Yes. And then when it switched from personal to professional and all the people randomly adding you, which now that happens on LinkedIn too.
Yes.
So you have to say no.
I'm a LinkedIn, like any person who wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll connect with you, but you are going to get grilled. Like I'm going to be like, have we ever met? Like how do we know each other? Why are you interested in me? Before I accept the invitation. But if somebody wants to connect with me, I'll chat with you because you just never know.
Right. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's more this getting comfortable with the fact that like this was supposed to be fun and personal, and now it really is a business tool. Yes. But you also still have to be fun and personal. So.
Yes. Which is tough. A lot of people, oh my God, we're at the end of the show.
I hope you guys had fun.
Oh my gosh. A lot of people, that's hard to be professional but fun. That as a marketer and as a communications professional, that is like the new frontier, is teaching people who are not fun and professional to be fun and professional. But I think that's reflected too in people's style.
Absolutely.
How to be fun and professional.
And it actually brings up a good point. For one, be you. Like if you're not fun, be boring. I don't know.
But I think you can be,
but you know what I mean.
You can be authentically boring, but
and engaged. You can still resonate. So what I was gonna say is this is something to consider for men or women, but who is your business style icon?
Right.
How do you show up? Like I was just actually filming a training series and sharing that Angela Ahrens and Sarah Blakely are my business style icons.
Right.
Partly for how their styles actually merge together.
Right.
Partly because of who they are as business women actually balances and merge together, as well as how much success they've created for themselves.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
thank you, yes, $1 billion
right.
from scratch business.
You're doing all right. They're doing all right.
So, and Angela Ahrendts is, I mean, what she did at Burberry was like incredible for the fashion industry.
Yes.
Like somewhat unprecedented.
Yes.
So
yeah, she's amazing.
Hence why Apple stole her away.
Exactly.
But looking at her style and you know doing the same for for
Right.
guys especially, like what are the guys, the sports guys, whatever, who inspire you. You're not going to be able to imitate them, but you can at least take away something.
There's pieces you can take.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to be able to wear their $3,000 custom-made suits, but you can find something at a price point that works for you and your body type. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I tend to dress like the Housewives of Atlanta, but that's just me. No, I don't really.
I'm really bad at reality TV, so I was like, I don't know what that reference means. I mean, I know who they are.
I love reality TV. It's like my Syria. Like, it's probably I'm sure there's some rehab center that I can go to like remove myself from it. I can't stop watching it. Oh my God, we have literally time for like one question.
Oh,
and so I always love to ask guests, whose brand, and you talked a little about who your style icons are though, but whose personal brand just gives you life? Like, who do you just look at their personal brand and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this person?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know that I've ever considered it that way. Wow.
It's
my own.
Your own? Me. I would have said that. What is one social media trend you wish would stop? It needs to stop. It's awful. Please go away.
I really get it akin to the random commenting or adding on LinkedIn.
Yes.
But the like great shot or the innocuous stuff that people will post
people
on Instagram.
IG, yes.
That they just want you to like them or follow them back or whatever. I
immediately delete those people.
I'm just like, no, like I can tell that's fake.
Yeah.
I want to actually have a conversation
or you're
with
some intern that's literally just looking at pages being like,
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly.
I hate that. I
Yes.
immediately delete those people right away.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, tell people really quickly where they can find you.
Absolutely. CatherineCassidy.co. That's both C's. A lot of alliteration there. It's also the 5 C's of leadership style power that I talk about.
Hey.
So all the C's. But yeah, CatherineCassidy.co, or you feel free to send a note and connect on LinkedIn. I love personal notes. I do love the connecting piece.
Yes, I love notes as well. I get some ugly notes, but I still enjoy them. People,
you know you've made it when you get that bad
when
ones.
When you get hate mail. Well, thank you, everybody. Again, if you want to connect with us online, please do so on Twitter at LTP Brand Radio or on Instagram at Let's Talk Personal. You can find me on Instagram at Firestarter CEO or on Twitter at Your Firestarter. Please join us next week when I have my dear friend, Mr. Kevin Jones, who is the head basketball coach at St. Andrew's Episcopal School. So we have lots of fun stuff to talk about then. Until then, you can find me at www.letstalkpersonal.com to see this episode and all previous episodes. See you next week. Take care.